This is Judge Herb Dodell. One of the first things people think about when they get that notice in the mail that they got jury duty is, how do I get out of it? That's the first thing most people think of. And I can't tell you how many people have called me and said, you know, as a judge, can you excuse me from jury duty? Well, the answer is no. And frankly, I'd love to be on a jury, but nobody would ever take me. In fact, I tell a great story. I got picked for jury duty in Santa Monica, and I'm sitting in I actually got into the box. You know, there's 12 people in the box. Usually, if they use what's not called the six-pack system, usually they pick 12 jurors and a couple of alternates, and as they get kicked off, for reasons I will discuss, they get replaced. Some judges use what's called a six-pack. They put 18 jurors in the box, and as you kick them out, for whatever reason, they just move up. They take the empty space of the juror that was before them. But let's assume you don't get there. What happened in my case was I was being examined in what's called voir dire, which allows the lawyers in state court and the judge in federal court to ask questions of the jury to determine whether or not they are fit to serve as a juror in that particular case. So it comes to me, and the guy says, okay, what do you do? I said, well, I'm presiding in Department B down the hall. And I was off there in about 10 seconds because I was actually a sitting judge in Santa Monica at that time doing landlord-tenant, and this was a landlord-tenant case. So I was done. But you ask yourself the question, what do you do once you get on that jury? What's life like as a juror? Number one, there's great deference given to jurors. Judges make sure that the jurors are inconvenienced as little as possible. They try to make sure that everything is done on time. And even though there are bench conferences and meetings with the lawyers, which allows the jury to mingle outside, they make friends. And if you kick off somebody that has become friendly with the person next to them, you're running the risk. So be very attentive. So assume you got on the jury and they've picked the case. It starts out with the opening statements, which I mentioned earlier. It goes to the evidence that's offered by both sides, and then ultimately it comes down to a closing argument. But the most important part in terms of the jury is what's called jury instructions. How does the jury get instructions? Well, it works very simply. Lawyers on all sides meet with the court and suggest to the court that certain instructions be given. Obviously, those that tend to favor your case. Now, an instruction is basically to use the facts and apply the law, which is what the judge gives in the form of the instructions, and apply the law to those facts. And so you want the best that you can get, and you want to cite to the facts that support your reason why you should be entitled to that particular jury instruction. And the other side, of course, objects, and it goes back and forth and back and forth, and the judge ultimately makes a decision as to what instructions are going to be given and what instructions are not given. This is a very fertile ground for appeal. Many times, the unsuccessful party will allege, you know, the judge should have instructed the jury A, B, and C, or the judge should not have instructed the jury and it made a difference. And following appellate rules, if it was substantial enough to make a difference, that could result in a reversal of whatever decision there may have been. So jury instructions, vital part of the case.